Hi, Sagittarius. Welcome to your December 2020 Astro Transits reading. It's Rena here. Well, I am a Sagittarius sun. I know I say this a lot, but I am really looking forward to December. I have for a while, and it wasn't until I compiled this list, and I'm doing Sag first because as the month begins, the sun is in Sagittarius, and I usually do that sign first. And I'm like, wow, it's even better than I thought. So I hope that you have an amazing December. One of the highlights, I think, of December of 2020 is the fact that all the personal planets are direct. As a matter of fact, the only planets, now that I think about it, the only planet is Uranus that goes direct in January. But other than that, all the planets are direct, and Uranus is an outer planet, so it's not supposed to be particularly influential in our personal lives. It's more of an influence on society at large. Of course, depending on where it falls in your natal chart and where it's transiting, it can certainly influence that area of life. So it's not to say that it has zero influence, but just that when we're looking at our day-to-day lives, we can look to these faster moving planets of really providing influences that are short-lived and so meaningful for certain periods of time. On the first of the month, Mercury moves into Sagittarius. And so we already have the sun in Sag as the month begins, and that is, great because we feel this sense of revitalization. The sun is our core self, if you will. And so when you have the transing sun in conjunction with your sun, there's that sense it's in the first house of the body and of the conscious self. And you feel maybe like just an overall well-being and also feeling aligned with what you're all about. I think that's one of the big things. So I personally notice, because my birthday's in December, that December is always kind of a lighthearted month. Of course, we have the holiday season, so that certainly can help with those feelings for everybody. And I always think it's no surprise that the holiday season falls during Sagittarius, because it's that time of making merry. And actually, your personal solar return will be on your birthday. So if you were born in November, you've already experienced it, but you still have that sun in that first house. Mercury here can make you feel like you're in alignment with the way that you think, the way that you communicate, and the greater aspect of yourself in this incarnation being a sun in Sagittarius. If you have Sagittarius rising, this can be good for, simply promoting yourself, whether you're looking for a job, whether you are you're selling yourself in some way, even if you're going out on dates and you can, the other person says, tell me something about yourself. And you can really convey most effectively who you are, what you believe in, and things like that. On the 14th, we have a solar eclipse at 23 degrees of Sagittarius, again in that first house. And there's that sense of moving forward in your life. Now, this is the first solar eclipse that we have in Sagittarius. We had a lunar eclipse in June. So in some cases, there may be some kind of a story. Usually what they say is that the new moon begins the story and the full moon ends it. So maybe something that gets started now will end next May when we have another lunar eclipse in Sagittarius. But even when we look back to, in my case, the summertime of 2020, I still think that there might be some connection between those two eclipses, and something that ended back then is either revived. It's maybe you're going in a totally new direction, and the last 6 months have been kind of sorting things out. So in other words, let's say that over the summer, or June, July, August, what have you, you had some kind of a major ending in your life, changing careers, and you were kind of in this in-between state. And maybe in December, going into 2021, you're ready to launch something new. And until the end of January of 2021, we have this total green light. Then we have a Mercury retrograde. I think it's on the last day of January of 2021. But there's a period of time where all the planets are direct. So that can be a great time to launch anything. And this will just kind of plant seeds for your next year, because this is your new moon. Most of you will have this in the first house. As I always state, this is a general forecast, so timing may vary from person to person. And if you're listening to this and your sun is in Sagittarius, understand that your rising sign can dictate a lot of the happenings on the mundane level. So it's very good to also listen for your rising sign. So that's very exciting, because we haven't had a solar eclipse in Sagittarius in quite a while. And so this can be maybe like 12 years ago, I guess, or longer even. So that can be very interesting about, let's see what happens in 2021. I'm very stoked for 2021. On the 15th, the very next day, Venus goes into Sagittarius. So we already have the sun, we already have Mercury, and we have the solar eclipse. And then the very next day, Venus goes into Sag in that first house. Venus is such a wonderful influence when it's in our own sign. People are attracted to us, and Venus is the attractor. But some people may misunderstand what I'm saying. They might think, oh, wow, they're going to think that you're hot. Well, possibly, but even better than that, they're going to find you irresistible on a basic level. So that can bring all good things to you, because Venus in Vedic astrology is considered a benefic planet. It's considered like this planet that brings us blessings, like our ruler Jupiter. So whether it's money that you are attracting, favor, good favor from others, anything along those lines, popularity, you can just walk into a room and you give off a favorable impression. The first house is, just like the rising sign, it is that image, it is that the thing that other people see first. It's what kind of you lead with. And so it can certainly be very helpful when you're trying to make things happen for yourself. And one thing I should just say overall is that as these things are happening for us, we're experiencing all this energy in our sign, but in addition to that, it's for everybody, it's kind of a more lighthearted energy than Scorpio, obviously. Scorpio is a lot more intense, and Sagittarius is a lot more buoyant. So not only will we feel this way, but there's a good chance that other people will also be in a good mood and also be like kind of generous and that kind of thing. So that can be doubly a blessing, because people may cut us even more slack and be even more favorable to us. On the 17th, Saturn goes into Aquarius. Now, Saturn did go into Aquarius earlier in 2020 in March and stayed there for less than 2 months and retrograded back into Capricorn. So Saturn has been in Sag's second house for, 5 months at this point in this, in Capricorn. And that may have felt very, oppressive for your finances. Maybe you felt a sense of restriction, like you couldn't really manifest the way that you had wanted to. And now it will be out of that house. Again, it will depend upon your degree or, your third house cusp. In Aquarius, in the third house, Saturn is an influence that I'm going to be doing a video for both Jupiter and Saturn going into Aquarius. I've done some of them. I haven't done Sagittarius yet. I just checked to see if I had done it yet. So check back on my channel. I'll do it next. And you can see in depth what this is going to entail. Basically, Saturn going into the third house will make Sagittarians a lot more sober in their thinking, being more realistic, maybe wanting more to communicate in a more productive manner. In other words, not just being very undisciplined when it comes to speaking, when it comes to what you consume in the media, and so on and so forth. And there may be a specific reason for that. For instance, if you are set to do some kind of writing project and you need to have all hands on deck, you may not want to fritter away your time just on trivia. So you may be trying to discipline yourself when it comes to what kind of media you consume, what kind of things that you're allowing yourself to come in contact with. And maybe, if you're somebody who spends a lot of time talking to people on the phone or whatever it is, you may cut back on that because you're trying to be very moderate, disciplined, whatever, organized with your thoughts. I think this could even be in connection to meditation, strangely enough, that you want to become more focused with your thoughts, and whether it's for a specific goal or if you just feel like you're too scattered, it doesn't matter. Another thing that the third house represents are siblings and also neighbors. So there may be this sense of having more responsibility, for instance, with your siblings, that you feel as though you have to do things for them, or perhaps you can't spend as much time, or you're limiting your time because, you feel like they are impeding your progress in some way. Who knows? But this can be very good, I think, for people who are writers, because I think that you can really get into a groove and really accomplish a lot in the next few years with writing projects. And it doesn't have to be just books. It could be blogs or things like that. So, or studying some kind of a skill. On the 19th, Jupiter goes into Aquarius. And Jupiter is the ruler of Sag. So, and Jupiter will feel much more at home in Aquarius, which is a like a freedom-loving sign, than it did in Saturn, which is very constrictive. So there is like a lot of an affinity that Jupiter will have in Aquarius. And this in your third house can produce a lot of writing. So maybe in the next couple of years, if you are a writer or an aspiring writer, you can get a lot done in a relatively short period of time. And I would also include a blog, anything internet-based, even though the 11th house, which Aquarius rules, is associated with the internet. I think that, I have read that the third house also is the internet in terms of the vehicle for communication. And certainly being in Aquarius, these two planets, Jupiter and Saturn, can indicate internet-based activity. Now, with Jupiter, there can be luck with this type of, conveying of information, maybe getting it out to more people. So the third house is getting this information out, and Jupiter can be expansion. So maybe you have a greater luck at, for further reach, or whatever you call it. With Saturn, it can be even like career related. I think that you could be doing a career that is based on internet based. So even if you have a certain career right now, maybe you have already gone, what do they call it, remote working or digital nomad. And definitely with these two planets forming a conjunction on the 21st, well, I'll get to that in a second. That's going to be a pivotal time as well. But just saying that they're both in the same sign, Jupiter and Saturn, I could see, with Jupiter, there can be long distance travel, and with Saturn, it could be career related. So if you've always been that Sag that fantasizes about perhaps working remotely from some far-flung locale, maybe this will be the year that you do so. On the 20th, Mercury goes into Capricorn. So that is the second house for Sag. Your mind is on your money, and your money is on your mind. That could be like really kind of crunching numbers, trying to, just putting focus on financial issues. The very next day, the sun goes into Capricorn. This is the winter solstice in the Northern Hemisphere. And this is one of those power periods when the sun goes into a cardinal sign, in this case, Capricorn. Second house, earth house, earned income, possessions, self-esteem. The sun going into the second house can give you a boost in terms of your self-esteem. But in addition to that, we have Jupiter and Saturn in conjunction in Aquarius. Is this the dawning of the age of Aquarius? Get out your love beads. And this will be that third house. So, Sagittarians tend to be communicators already, usually writers and teachers. And so you may have some kind of a theme in the next year that involves, in 2021 Sag, that involves getting your message out to a wider audience. And this can be very appealing to Sag because we tend to be, we tend to be very preachy, but I mean, we don't have to be preachy. We just like to share our philosophy of life, our opinions, what have you. And then on the 29th, we have a full moon at 8 degrees of Cancer. Now, Cancer for Sag is the 8th house, and this is a very deep place. So some of you may have this actually in the 7th house with your particular chart, which would be more of a relationship issue and more, coming to terms with your needs versus somebody else's needs, and perhaps like some kind of a change in your relationship. Either you maybe you commit or you break up. I mean, depending on other factors. But for those who have it in the 8th house, this can be really deep diving. It can be letting go of some kind of addiction, obsession that you have. And it's funny because I think of addictions as obsessions. And kind of like anything obsessive can be a distraction from some of the anxiety that a person is experiencing in the moment. And it's amazing whether it's physical malfunctions or psychological ones, which the 8th house is all about psychology. It's like our bodies and our minds are so wise that they protect us with all of these things that we see as neurotic tendencies, or in the case of physical symptoms, illnesses, just kind of disease or what have you, that there's actually some kind of a method to its madness when it comes to our body and our consciousness. So learning, sometimes we have these distractions or even repressing emotions or memories. With the 8th house, it would be more like repressing emotions, and this can lead to being disconnected from the shadow self, which the 8th house represents. And this full moon can bring out understanding of those shadow emotions, and in doing so, purging them, which is a quality of both the full moon and the 8th house. So it can be a deeply psychological time, and what a better time to do it than at the end of 2020, a year that has been quite, what's the best word of saying it? Distinctive for a number of reasons. So, you can let go of things so that 2021 you have a fresh slate and you can approach the new year with new eyes and really a better understanding of yourself. So I hope that this resonated, Sag. I'm certainly looking forward to December as well as 2021. I hope you are too. If you would like to work with me and see what is on tap for 2021. I do natal chart interpretations with transits, looking at the important things happening, some of the important things, you can check out my offerings at the link below. Thank you for listening. Have a great month. Take care. Bye.